Hi students, welcome to lesson number 11, Community, Association and Institutions. Let's start with community. Association and institution are the basic concepts which enable to know what the humanly created organizations and interrelationships that connect individuals are. Man by nature is social. He cannot live in isolation. There is a need for some kind of organized life with some standards, ways of life, interactions and adjustments with other individuals. Man has to follow the requirements of social life and organize himself. Objectives of the lesson. The purpose of this unit is to acquaint with the basic concepts in sociology, that is community, association and institutions. Knowledge of these basic concepts will enable to understand social life. Understanding the basic concepts enable the smooth functioning and interaction of individuals living together. Man has lived in communities since the dawn of human histories. The fact grouping very similar to human communities exists among animals and even among plants. The term community has been used loosely, but sociologists gave more exact connotation. There are some basic things which the term denotes. The word community has been derived from two Latin words, namely com and munis. In English, com means together and munis means to serve. Community is an organization of human beings framed for the purposes of serving together. A community is a collection of interdependent people with residential ties to a particular locality. The territorial boundary differentiates it from other groups because most other groups are not tied to specific localities. Communities are spatially specific. They encompass major portions of the lives and roles of their members. The term community denotes uniformly and permanently shared lives of people over a definite region. It may be considered as a permanent local aggregation of people having diversified as well as common interest and served by a constellation of institutions. The term community is loosely used to refer to occupational groups. They are the teachers, doctors, etc., religious groups, etc. There have been varied conceptions of community in social science literature and sociological writings particularly. The meaning and definition. Let us look at few definitions of community. Ferdinand Tönnies contrasted community Gemeinschaft with society Gesellschaft. According to him, in community, human relationships are intimate and enduring. Ranks are ascriptive rather than achieved. The members are immobile. The culture is relatively homogeneous. The degree of solidarity and unity among members is high, and locality and community sentiments among members are strong. Community is a local area over which people are using the same language, conforming to the same mores, feeling more or less the same sentiments and acting upon the same attitudes. According to Robert E. Park and 𝗹𝗶𝗫, community is a social group with some degree of we feeling and living in a given area. Community is a geographical area having common centers of interest and activities. It is an area of social living. It is marked by some degree of coherence. It is an all-inclusive term. It includes in itself all social relationships, a variety of associations and institutions. Therefore, the main basis of community are locality and community sentiment. Locality. A community is a territorial group. It occupies a given geographic area. Locality is understood as the physical basis of community. The group of people forms a community when it resides in a definite locality. A community is more or less locally limited. People develop social contacts by living together. Communities derive strong bond of solidarity and develop social contacts by living together. Community sentiment. A community is essentially an area of common living with a feeling of belonging. There must be a common living with sharing a way of life and a common territory. Community sentiment means a feeling belonging together. There must be a sense of identification. Characteristics of community. Community as a territorial unit. Every community has a common and specific geographic area or territory. The location of a community and its growth potential, patterns of growth as well as direction of growth are influenced by several geographic factors like presence of geographic limits like hills, canals, etc., nearness of the houses and people of a community, facilitates contacts among the members, gives them a feeling of protection and helps in the organization and integration of the community. Community includes a permanent group life in a definite place which brings community sentiment and also stability. A community also has a locality, so it is relatively stable. It is not a temporary group. Community as unit of social organization. Community is considered as a unit of social organization, a kind of microcosm of the social system. This conception of community as a unit of social organization is classified into three categories which we discuss further. Community as a social group such as membership, a set of norms governing the behaviors of members and a collection of assigned roles, etc. Community is viewed as a social system, that is, the combination of social units and subsystems which perform the major social functions having local relevance. This means that community is a total system consisting of smaller subsystems such as local government, organization, economy, etc. These units and subsystems serve the functions of socialization of the members of community. Social control and production and distribution of goods and services. Community functions as a network of social interaction among individual members and also among other groups at community level, shows social processes such as cooperation, competition, conflict, etc. Cooperation between individuals and cooperative efforts to overcome a crisis at the community level. Community functions as a chain of input and output reactions among its units. In other words, reciprocal and symbiotic relations. That is, every unit gives something to other units and receives something in turn from other units. Community is also a cultural unit as is held with common ties and bonds exist among the members of a community. These ties constitute the basis for identification of the members to their community or locality. From this arises a sense of belongingness, distinction between our communities from the other communities. Identification of the members with the community and their ties and bonds exist because they share common values, norms and goals. The basis of ties lies in the culture. Dependency feeling one finds in community. The dependency feeling involves both physical and psychological for his material wants as well as emotional wants. Community has a spontaneous growth. No community comes into existence with the making of by a certain group or some committee. A kind of natural automatic force acts behind the origin and development of communities. Various factors like customs, conventions and religious beliefs bind the individuals together. Permanence of communities. Communities are never formed with any particular aim and object. It is durable because it has developed itself. Community has particular name. Community is a place where group of people live with common culture. Because of this, it is always known with a particular name. Their immediate basis of origin gives such a community a particular name. The ends of a community are wider. These are natural, not artificial. A community is not a legal body. It cannot be sued nor can it be sued in the eyes of laws. It has no rights and duties. Let us study the types of communities. In classifying communities, one may use 4 interrelated criteria. They are as follows: the size of the population, the extent, wealth and populousness of the interland, specialized functions of the community within the whole society, and the organization of the community has. Therefore, 3 types of communities, they are tribal, rural and urban communities. Tribal community. According to 𝗪𝗡, tribe is a society with political, linguistic and somewhat vaguely defined cultural boundary. Further, It is a society based upon kinship where social stratification is absent. According to Majumdar, a tribe as a social group with territorial affiliation, endogamous with no specialization of functions, ruled by tribal officers, hereditary or otherwise, united in language or dialect, recognizing social distance from tribes or caste. Tribal communities are smaller than rural communities. The definitions emphasize upon territorial affiliation, cultural, functional and linguistic homogeneity, social structure based on kinship and egalitarian principle, and relative isolation from other communities as the characteristic feature of the tribal community. The tribal communities differ with respect to the degree of homogeneity, relative isolation from other communities and complexity of social and economic organization. Characteristics of tribal community. By and large, tribal communities are smaller than the rural urban communities. The degree of identification with local territory is greater among the tribes than the non-tribal because they are less mobile and their contacts with the rest of the world are minimal and they maintain isolation. The tribal communities are homogeneous than other communities with respect to language, religion, culture and economy. Tribal communities have a common language or dialect to speak which unites them unlike other communities. Folk tales, folklore, folk songs are important elements of tribal life. They are unique when compared to non-tribals. Their customs and beliefs and practices remain unchanged over many generations. The tribals practice simple economies like food gathering, shifting cultivation, hunting and pastoral and horticulture economy. The tribals' social organization is strongly based on clan and kinship. The political organization among tribals mostly dominated by hereditary leaders, tribal panchayats and leaders. Family and kinship acts as social control agency and integration is achieved through them. Rural communities. The growth of village communities traces back to the primitive societies. People were nomadic and moved from place to place when people began to lead a settled family life. Each community invariably started its settlement from the village itself. The human settlements with simple and folk features, they are small, thinly populated and homogeneous with regard to social, economic, linguistic and cultural characteristics. Factors responsible for the growth of village community. The topographical factors. It includes land, water and climate. Villages with fertile land, good climate and water in abundance attracted many more people. Economic factors. Favorable agricultural conditions led to advanced stage of living. Social factors. In villages where there is both internal and external peace, village community prospers more. Ecological factors includes factors such as population, occupation and distance from town, social as well as geographical organization. Urban communities. In reality, the transition from purely rural community to an urban is not abrupt but gradual. Generally speaking, in urban communities are identified as relatively large and socially heterogeneous human settlement. The characteristics of urban communities are the population of urban communities are more heterogeneous and highly differentiated on the basis of occupation, religion, caste, ethnicity. The social background is varied. Urban communities are relatively large and dense human settlements. Because of this, the relationship between individuals are impersonal, secondary and superficial. There is tolerance of other cultures and adjustment. There is scope for social change in urban communities. Occupations are varied and are based on achieved skills. There is scope for occupational mobility. The dependence on natural environment is less and more or man-made environment. In urban communities, the kinship bonds are weak and family significance is less. People depend on secondary contacts and work culture. Urban communities are centers for non-agricultural activities like manufacturing, trade and commerce and other services. Occupations are larger, hence there is greater scope for occupational mobility and class structure. there are specific residential areas which may be categorized as upper class areas or middle class areas or lower class areas. Association. The meaning and definition of association. A group may be organized itself for the purpose of pursuing certain of its interests together. When this happens, an association is born. One can define an association as a group organized for the pursuits of an interest or group of interest in common. However, no single association can satisfy all the interests of the individuals. Hence, there are professional associations, student associations, etc. An individual belongs to more than one association at the same time. Characteristics of association are: the main characteristics of association are: association is a human group which is found and created by people. It is therefore a social group. There is no association without people. An association is necessarily an organized group. Hence, an unorganized group like crowd cannot be called an association. All groups of people cannot be called as association. An association is not merely a collection of individuals. It consists of individuals who have more or less same interest. People join association on the basis of their interest. An association is based on cooperative spirits of its members. People work together to achieve some purpose. An association denotes organization. The roles and positions are allocated systematically to make the association organized. Organization gives stability and shape to association. Association regulates relations of its members. Every association has its ways and means of regulating members, which results in organization of an association. Regulation may be written once or unwritten, but they are bounded on the members. Association functions as agencies through which members seek to realize their similar or shared interest. The association functions through representatives. Every association has its own methods of operation which are approved by all the members. The durability of an association may be permanent or temporary. Some permanent associations are like family, state, etc. Others are temporary and are created for some specific purpose and demolished after achieving the purpose. Therefore, we can state that an association is not merely a group. It is a group specifically organized for particular interest. Institutions. Meaning and definition of the institutions. The term institution is used to describe practices that are regularly and continuously repeated, sanctioned and maintained by social norms and have a major significance in the social structure. Institutions are regarded as higher order, more general unit that incorporates a plurality of roles. Thus, a school as social institution embraces pupil roles, teacher roles and managerial roles. Social institution is a complex integrated set of social norms organized around the preservation of a basic social value. Sociologists reserve the term institution to describe normative systems operating in 5 basic areas: determining kinship, providing for the legitimate use of power, regulating the distribution of goods and services, in transmitting knowledge from one generation to the next, in regulating our relations to the supernatural. As these concepts, 5 basic institutions are called as family, government, economy, education and religion. According to Sumner and 𝗂𝗪𝗀, defines institution as a vital interest or activity which is surrounded by a cluster of mores and folkways. It is conceived as not only as an idea or interest, but of structure as well as structure. Here is a group of functionaries. According to Davies, institution is defined as a set of interwoven folkways, mores and laws built around one or more functions. Institutions are also defined as the habitual ways of living together which have been sanctioned, systematized and established by the authority of communities. The institutions arise and persist because of a definite need of the members of a society. The family as an institution is tied up with the very survival of the human species. The interests or needs which are responsible for the rise of institutions are as follows. The emotional need. The interests that have given rise to institutions are hunger, love, vanity and fear, which corresponds to the impulses of self-preservation, of self-gratification, etc. These socializing forces have operated in human beings, resulting institutions arose to satisfy as well as to regulate and control them. Economic need. The institutions that developed as an outgrowth of these interests are economic and governmental. Governmental systems are concerned with the food supply, property and legal systems. The familial needs. The family concerned with courtship, marriage and divorce, training of the young and taking care of the aged. Aesthetic and intellectual needs. Aesthetic and intellectual expressions and recreational needs which are found in dancing, acting, philosophy, social activities, entertainment, etc. Religious needs, religion and its accompanying beliefs and practices. Now, let us focus on the characteristics of the institutions. Some of the important characteristics of institutions are: the institutions are social in nature, as because of collective activities of the people, hence they are essentially social in nature. The resultant of repetitive social relationships of individuals is the institutions. Social institutions are universal because they exist in all societies at every stage of development. The basic institutions like family, religion and political institutions are found in even simple primitive societies. Institutions prescribe the ways of doing things. They are understood as procedures and norms. They also prescribe as rules and regulations that are to be followed. An educational institution has its own rules and regulations. Institutions satisfy the basic and vital needs of human beings. Institutions like religion, government control the behavior of individuals. These mechanisms preserve the social order and give stability to it. Institutions do not change suddenly or rapidly. Changes takes place slowly and gradually. Many institutions are enduring. Institutions are not eternally visible or tangible things. They are abstract. Institutions persist in the form of oral and written traditions. They may be largely oral for primitive societies. In modern societies, they are written, and like government and institutions may have their own symbols, material or non-material, like an emblem. Institutions are many and diverse. They are interrelated. Understanding one institution requires understanding of other related institutions. All institutions are interlinked. The types of institutions are as follows. The institutions are classified into primary institutions, secondary institutions. Primary institutions are found in societies like family, marriage, religion, etc. As societies become bigger in size and complexity, institutions become more progressive and differentiated. Therefore, a number of institutions have come up to cater to the secondary needs of the people. They are called secondary institutions like business, etc. The institutions that evolved or developed naturally or spontaneously are called coercive. The institutions that are consciously and purposefully established in a planned way are called enacted. The coercive is primary institution and creative are secondary. Thus, the satisfaction of needs and control of human behaviors is the function of institutions. They also assign roles and positions to individuals. The establishment of norms is done by institutions. The uniformity and unity is a major contribution of institutions. Summary. Thus, we studied from the above basic concepts in sociology. Human society is made by identifying and explaining how these communities, associations and institutions are binding on the individuals to lead their life in given ways. Community vary depending upon the population density, social, economic and culture of the members formed. Community is permanent. On the other side, we have gone through the meaning of association, which refers to as formed by the same interest groups in order to satisfy their common interest, which is impossible in a bigger group. They may vanish as the set of interest goals are reached. Thus, associations are temporary in nature. Institutions are the resultant of collective activities of the people. Institutions are also universal as they exist everywhere. Institutions are standardized procedures and norms. They are the prescriptions which show the ways of doing things.